Hey everyone, my name is Ray, and today I'm out here at the San Antonio River, closer to Floresville than I am to San Antonio. Either way, it's a very peaceful day out here. There weren't that many people hanging out at this park. I guess it's a community park. I'm not sure who it was organized by. I'll have to post the name later, and you guys can look it up. But I actually had come out here to visit with my father, and it's been difficult to talk with him recently because he doesn't have a working phone. I even asked for help to see if someone would help me to get him to a place where he could get his phone repaired while I was out of town, helping other people get their services restored in some way or another. And shortly after that, I went to a pretty remote place, Big Bend National Park, where I myself didn't have a whole lot of access to resolve the things that I was trying to resolve in the real world. And so the realist in me understands that I need to be where the work is needed in order to complete those tasks. And the conservationist in me realizes that the more I'm immersed in these things that require fixing, the more we all consume as an indirect result. So I've tried to go through the emotions of detaching the ego from the decisions that I currently make, but it's tough. It's tough because I weigh these things against, let's say for an example, being able to look up the river here, and I'm seeing two dragonflies, actually a dragonfly and a red wasp, and also a damselfly. And you see a smile coming to my face because it's like, every once in a while when I'm about to give up hope, I see the neatest things. The wasp just landed on the calm river surface and floated for a while, and took a drink and took off. But prior to those three insects showing up, I didn't see anything. I can hear a few birds. Some of them became quiet when I walked into this area, and some of them are indifferent because this is a park that the birds are used to seeing people in. Anyway, when I come to these areas and see more pieces of plastic floating down the river than I do see birds flying over the river, or splashes in the water from the things that are supposed to be in the river, that used to be in the river not too terribly long ago, those things get me to wondering if what we don't all need to really be focused on is the overall health of our ecosystems. Now, I'm not a well-documented adventurer or journalist or syndicate of any kind. I'm just an individual who has been paying attention to these things for quite some time. Can't quite tell what that is. I don't know if you could see what that was. It was probably just a piece of a tree or something that was floating by. It looked, I don't know. I won't even theorize as to what it was. It could be anything. Everything floats by in this river. Unless it's right on the surface, nobody really knows what could be in there because it's kind of murky. So the whole point is I'm not really anything by anyone's standards. Here, let me show you. I'm sure you can see some of that debris. In a lot of ways, our own health is cluttered up like that. Our own health is having difficulty pumping through our own veins because of all the things we've cluttered up our our insides with. One of the funniest things about aging that I never really realized is that we reflect aging on the outside last. It's the aging on the inside that occurs first. And so by the time some of us catch it, that we're aging, it might be a bit challenging to restore our health, and we might feel powerless. And in fact, I've got a number of relatives that have some, and relatives could mean extended family just by association, friends, spouses of friends, you know. I consider all of us family, and I've got a number of loved ones who are suffering from health adversities, and at the same time, there are some health anomalies happening out here as well. Again, you don't have to look far. You can just kind of hear the general silence by this artery of life. Its life is something that used to be quite a bit more abundant, prolific, and now it's challenged, just like the health of many of us. And for many of us, our health is challenged because we continue to make the same choices with regard to eating things that maybe A, we're not grateful for, and B, we're not grateful enough or aware enough that some of these things that are brought to us at a discount have discounted energies, which in turn shorts our ability to produce whatever it is we're attempting to produce. Me, there's nothing I really need except for to pay off some of the things that I have, that I use to bring people into the places that I think yield the most joy for our buck. And that is into areas of nature, just like where I'm at right now. Like I say, there weren't a whole lot of people here besides myself. And in fact, there aren't a whole lot of animals here either right now that are visible, or signs of animals. But if I were to choose a place to live in, I probably would choose a place that was a little further away from the traffic that comes into these places because of the debris that I just showed you. If I were in my own skin, so to speak, and if I wanted to take care of my own self a little bit better, maybe I'd be more comfortable in my own skin, is what I would liken it to when it comes to our own self-assessment, when it comes to health, benefits, abundance, whether or not we want to call out one another over supposed differences like parties, religions, etc., and so forth. I know this all sounds real deep and like it's probably not interconnected for me to be mentioning these things in the same breath. And at the same time, maybe they are. That's why it's so polarizing that we often argue, should religion be allowed in schools? Well, should the thoughts of peace be allowed in school? If so, then what wrong is prayer and or meditation? You know, these are things that we call by certain words and by certain names and don't really fully appreciate until we realize the lack of awareness that our people might have. And that lack of awareness leads us to detrimental self-destruction, choices that undermine our own selves. You know, like if we're hurting and we grab for the bag of extremely super flavored chips with the most chemical content possible, and then down that with another equally flavored drink, you know, because what's one without the other? Then why wouldn't we realize that we're setting ourselves up to also take on the additional plastic burdens of pill bottles and sanitizers because we're at risk, and additional masks because we can't stand to be in the presence of one another without, you know, masking up. Why wouldn't we expect that? It's all expected. It's all something that we know, common sense wise, logically, in the realist world, that we're shorting ourselves by not assessing the immediate vicinity of the things that we take advantage of the most, and dedicating our efforts to its cleanup and recovery. And part of that is because we don't really look at ourselves. When we look at ourselves in the mirror, we sometimes just kind of justify whatever it is that's happening. And I don't mean this in a shaming way. I'm just telling you, I know that for a good long while, when I weighed about 80 pounds heavier, I looked in the mirror and I didn't see anyone different than I saw at 80 pounds lighter. It wasn't until I had a genuine love for life again, you know, as I got healthier, I was able to move more, and those kind of things made me happier. It wasn't that I was, you know, fit or in shape. I mean, there's plenty of in shape people who are struggling to decide whether to live another day or not. You know, there's a lot of people who are challenged with psychological conflict, and there are also a lot of people who enjoy being alone, you know, by a quiet river like this, who this brings calm to. It always did bring calm to me. There is one glaring difference now, though, which is that some of the life that was abundant once here is a little bit less abundant, and so too is the abundance of health in my loved ones, possibly including myself. You know, a lot of things we speak into existence. Well, guys, I ran out of space. I was going to record you a little bit more, but phone storage, excess, abundance. When we look at ourselves, let's also see the reflection externally as something that we can look at when we're looking at ourselves.